Everyone believes they have something valuable to say until they sit alone in a room with a microphone and realize the world already has 2 million podcasts competing for the same ears. What separates those who build empires from those who quit after episode 3 isn't talent, luck, or even great content. It's understanding a brutal truth about human attention. People don't listen to what you want to say. They listen to what they need to hear, delivered by someone who has learned to navigate the invisible forces that determine who gets heard and who gets ignored. This is the story of that navigation. From a $50 microphone to seven-figure deals, from zero downloads to industry influence, from bedroom recordings to corporate boardrooms where your voice becomes a weapon in wars between tech giants. The question isn't whether you have something worth saying. The question is whether you can survive the process of building something that lasts in a world designed to make you disappear. How you build an empire as a podcast host. The complete story. Chapter 1. Finding your voice. You stare at the microphone sitting on your desk. It's nothing special. A $50 USB mic you bought online last week. The foam windscreen looks like a tiny black sock. Your bedroom walls stare back at you, covered in posters and clothes you hung up to improve the acoustics. You've been planning this for months, reading articles, watching YouTube videos, making notes about what you want to say. But now, with the recording software open and the red record button waiting, your mouth feels dry as sand. You press record. Hello, is this thing on? Your voice sounds strange through the headphones. Higher than you expected. More nervous. Welcome to, you stop, take a breath, try again. Hi, I'm another pause. The silence stretches like a yawning gap. This is harder than it looked. You stop the recording, delete it, start over, stop again, delete. The cycle repeats 5 times before you finally get through 30 seconds without stopping. Your first episode is born. Shaky, uncertain, but real. Nobody tells you about finding your voice. It's not about having the perfect microphone or the right intro music. It's about that moment when you stop trying to sound like someone else and start sounding like yourself. 2 weeks later, you're recording episode 3. Your voice is steadier now. You're not reading from notes anymore. The words flow like water finding its path down a mountain. You laugh at your own joke. A real laugh, not a forced one. Through your headphones you hear it. That spark. That thing that makes you... But the downloads tell a different story. Episode 1, 37 plays. Episode 2, 22. Episode 3, 15. Each number smaller than the last. Your mum listened to the first one twice, which explains why 37 felt so good initially. Your phone buzzes with notifications. Not about your podcast, about everything else. Social media updates, news alerts, a world of noise drowning out your small voice. You check your podcast analytics again. The numbers haven't magically improved in the last hour. 15 downloads. In a world with 2 million active podcasts, you're invisible. The technical part was supposed to be hard. Setting up the RSS feed. Your show's delivery system like a newspaper route, but for audio. Uploading to platforms. Writing descriptions. That stuff has tutorials. Nobody prepared you for this feeling. The silence after you hit publish. The waiting. The wondering if anyone will ever hear what you worked so hard to create. You record episode 4 anyway. Something changes in that recording. Maybe it's desperation. Maybe it's acceptance. You stop caring about sounding professional and start caring about saying something true. You tell a story about failing your driving test 3 times. About the instructor who finally passed you because he felt sorry for you. About how that taught you that sometimes persistence matters more than skill. Your voice gets stronger as you tell it. The pauses feel natural now, purposeful, like you're talking to a friend over coffee, instead of speaking into a microphone in your empty bedroom. Audio quality, how professional you sound, used to obsess you. You spent hours researching soundproofing, watching videos about microphone placement, worrying about background noise. Now you realize something important. People don't connect with perfect audio. They connect with authentic stories told by real humans. Episode 4 gets 43 downloads. Episode 5 gets 68. Episode 6 hits 112. The curve is climbing. Slowly but climbing. You're not just finding your voice anymore. People are starting to hear it. You receive your first real comment from a stranger. Not from your mum or your best friend or your cousin who felt obligated to listen. A complete stranger wrote, "This made me laugh during my commute. Thank you." 8 words, but they change everything. Your voice is found, but now you need people to actually hear it. That's a different problem entirely. A bigger one. Because in a world of 2 million podcasts, having something to say is just the beginning. You save the comment as a screenshot, print it out, tape it above your desk where you can see it every time you record. Episode 7 is your best yet, and it leads directly into your next challenge, getting discovered. Chapter 2, Building Your Distribution Machine. Your phone buzzes at 6:23 a.m., a notification from your podcast hosting platform. Episode 12 now live on all platforms. The same automated message you've seen 11 times before. But this time, something feels different. You open the app and check your numbers. 17 downloads in the first hour. That's actually good. Better than usual. Then you refresh the page. 23 downloads. Your heart beats a little faster. By noon, you've hit 50 downloads, more than your last 3 episodes combined. Something is working, but you have no idea what. Nobody tells you about podcast discovery. It's not about having the best content. It's about being findable when someone goes looking. Your RSS feed, your show's delivery system, like a mail route but for audio, carries your episodes to every major platform automatically. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, the technical plumbing that makes modern podcasting possible. But being on platforms doesn't mean people can find you. You spend the weekend researching podcast SEO, search engine optimization, the art of making your show appear when people search for topics you cover, keywords in titles, detailed episode descriptions, category selections that match what listeners actually browse. The learning curve is steep. Platform algorithms work differently than Google search. Apple Podcasts rewards consistency. Spotify favors completion rates. Each platform has its own invisible rules for who gets discovered. Your 13th episode launches with everything you've learned applied. A title that includes searchable keywords, a description that tells people exactly what they'll hear, tags that match trending topics in your category. The results come faster than expected. 60 downloads in the first day, then 80. Your show appears in the new and noteworthy section of your category for exactly 1 week. That week changes everything. New listeners find you through platform recommendations. Your download numbers jump from dozens to hundreds. Comments start appearing from people you've never met. Real strangers who chose to listen because they found your content worth their time. But discovery is only half the battle. Keeping listeners is harder than finding them. Your analytics show a brutal truth. People find your episodes easily now, but most stop listening after 3 minutes. You're winning the discovery game and losing the attention game. The problem becomes clear when you listen to your own episodes with fresh ears. Your introductions are too long. You take 90 seconds to explain what people could understand in 20. By the time you get to interesting content, half your audience has moved on. You study successful podcast openings obsessively. The best shows hook listeners within 30 seconds. A question that demands an answer. A surprising statement that challenges expectations. A story that creates immediate emotional connection. Episode 15 opens with a question. What if everything you think you know about success is backwards? No long introduction, no explanation of who you are or what the show covers. Just a hook that makes people lean forward. The retention numbers prove the strategy works. Average listen time jumps from 3 minutes to 12 minutes. People are staying long enough to hear your actual content. The real breakthrough comes when you understand platform-specific optimization. Apple Podcast users browse during commutes. They want episodes that fit their travel time. Spotify listeners discover through playlists and recommendations. They prefer shorter, topic-focused content. You start creating different versions of the same content for different platforms. Longer, detailed episodes for Apple. Shorter, punchier versions for Spotify. Same core content, optimized for different listening habits. The strategy works better than you imagined. Your Apple downloads grow steadily, your Spotify numbers explode, cross-platform distribution becomes your secret weapon. 3 months later, you're averaging 800 downloads per episode. Your show ranks in the top 50 of your category on multiple platforms. Success feels within reach for the first time. But you notice something troubling in your analytics. High discovery, growing downloads, but your audience isn't connecting deeply. People find you easily and leave just as easily. Distribution solved the visibility problem. Now you need to solve the engagement problem, which brings you face to face with the psychology of attention itself. Chapter 3. Hook Mastery. Your latest episode has been live for 6 hours. The download numbers look great, 2,000 and climbing. But the analytics page shows something that makes your stomach sink. Average listen time, 4 minutes and 37 seconds. Out of a 30-minute episode, most people quit before the 5-minute mark. You're not losing listeners to other podcasts. You're losing them to everything else competing for their attention. Netflix, TikTok, Instagram, Spotify playlists, text messages, the endless stream of entertainment and distraction that fills every quiet moment. Your competition isn't other podcasters, it's every form of media that exists. This realization hits you at 2 a.m. while editing your next episode. You're not just creating content anymore, you're fighting for attention against billion-dollar algorithms designed to be addictive. The stakes become clear: master engagement or watch your audience disappear despite getting discovered. You download the episodes of the most successful shows in your category, not to copy them, but to understand why people stay. What makes someone choose to listen to 30 minutes of talking instead of watching funny videos? The patterns emerge after studying dozens of episodes. Great podcasts don't just inform or entertain, they create curiosity gaps, questions that listeners need answered. I'm about to tell you something that will change how you see success forever. But first, let me explain how I learnt it the hard way. That structure creates psychological tension. Your brain wants closure. It needs to know what comes next. The curiosity gap pulls you forward through the content. You redesign your episodes around this principle. Instead of stating facts, you pose questions. Instead of giving immediate answers, you build suspense. Each segment ends with a promise of revelation to come. Your next episode opens with, "By the end of today's show, you'll understand why the advice everyone gives about following your passion is not just wrong, it's dangerous." The hook works. Average listen time jumps to 11 minutes. People are staying long enough to hear your main content. But you want more than just longer listen times. You want engagement that creates real connection. The breakthrough comes when you study audience psychology instead of just podcast techniques. People don't listen to podcasts for information. They listen for transformation. The feeling that this conversation will change something about their life, their perspective, or their circumstances. Every successful episode promises transformation and delivers it. Not through complex theories or abstract concepts, through stories that feel personal and insights that feel immediately applicable. You restructure your content around transformation promises. Each episode begins with a specific outcome listeners will achieve. Not today we'll talk about productivity. Instead, today you'll learn the 3-minute morning routine that doubled my output without adding stress. Specific, achievable, immediately valuable. The results exceed your expectations. Listen time increases to 18 minutes average. Comments become longer and more personal. People share episodes with friends because the content genuinely helped them. But the most important change is in the quality of your audience. Instead of casual browsers, you're attracting people who seek real value, listeners who engage deeply and become advocates for your content. Your analytics reveal something unexpected. Your audience isn't random. They're entrepreneurs, creatives, and ambitious professionals, people at similar life stages facing similar challenges. This discovery changes everything about how you create content. Instead of trying to appeal to everyone, you focus on serving this specific community better than anyone else. Your episodes become more targeted, more specific, more valuable to the right people, even if they're less accessible to everyone else. The trade-off proves worthwhile. Your total audience grows more slowly, but engagement rates skyrocket. People don't just listen, they implement your suggestions and share their results. 6 months after focusing on hook mastery and audience psychology, your show achieves something most podcasts never reach: true fan engagement, a community of listeners who actively participate in the conversation. Your download numbers hit 5,000 per episode. Your social media mentions multiply weekly. Sponsors start reaching out without you having to pitch them. But success at this level attracts attention you weren't prepared for. Bigger personalities in your space start noticing your growth. Some want to collaborate. Others see you as competition. The foundation is solid. Your voice is authentic. People can find you easily. When they do find you, they stay long enough to hear what you have to say. Everything that comes next builds on these three core skills, but the stakes are about to get much higher as real money enters the picture. Chapter 4. Monetization Reality Check. The email notification pings at 2:47 a.m. You're awake anyway, editing your latest episode. The subject line makes your heart skip. Sponsorship opportunity, $200 for 30-second read. $200. Real money for 30 seconds of talking. Your finger hovers over the mouse. This is it. The moment your hobby becomes a business. You click open the email and read the details. A company wants to pay you to read their advertisement during your show. The product is protein powder for athletes. You've never used protein powder in your life. The next morning, you record the ad spot. Your voice sounds different when you're reading someone else's words. Stiffer, like you're wearing clothes that don't fit right. Today's episode is brought to you by Muscle Max Pro, the protein powder that builds champions. Champions. You haven't been to a gym in 6 months. You publish the episode and wait. The comments start rolling in within hours. Sell out. Lost a subscriber. This used to be authentic. Each word hits like a small punch to the stomach. But your bank account shows a deposit. $200. Your first real money from podcasting. Nobody tells you about your first sponsor deal. It's not just about reading an ad. You're selling something more valuable than your voice. You're selling access to your audience's attention. CPM, that's cost per 1,000 listeners, like buying advertising space in a newspaper, but for ears instead of eyes. Advertisers pay you based on how many people will hear their message. Your $200 means they think your audience is worth exactly that much of their attention. The math is brutal and beautiful. 1,000 downloads equals roughly $5 to $25 depending on your audience. Your show gets 5,000 downloads per episode now. That makes your attention worth about $50 per 1,000 pairs of ears. You are no longer just a person with opinions. You are a business with a product. Your product is your audience's time and trust. The second sponsor email arrives 3 days later, then a third. Word spreads fast in the advertising world when someone new enters the market. Your media kit, your show's resume, gets updated weekly now. Download numbers, audience demographics, listener locations, all the data that proves your worth to companies with money to spend. The fourth sponsor wants something different, not just a 30-second ad, but a full interview. They make productivity software, and they want you to try it for a month, then talk about your experience naturally during a conversation. This feels different, more honest, like recommending a good restaurant to a friend instead of reading a script about food you've never tasted. The episode goes live and something unexpected happens. No angry comments, instead listeners thank you for the recommendation. 3 people email saying they bought the software and love it. You discover the secret that separates good sponsors from bad ones. Good sponsors solve real problems for your audience. Bad sponsors just want to buy access to their attention. But the money changes things in ways you didn't expect. You start looking at your download numbers differently. Each listener becomes a tiny dollar sign. When episodes perform poorly, it's not just about the content anymore. It's about lost revenue. The art starts competing with the business. Your 5th sponsor offer arrives with bigger numbers, $500 for 1 episode, then $1,000. The amounts keep climbing because your audience keeps growing, and your audience keeps growing because the content stays good. The tension is real now. Every episode needs to balance 2 masters. Your creative voice that built the audience, and the business voice that pays your bills. Late one night, editing another episode, you realize something important. The best sponsored content doesn't feel like advertising at all. It feels like a natural part of the conversation, like telling a friend about something useful you discovered. Your 9th sponsored episode proves this theory. You weave the product into a story about solving a problem in your own life. The ad doesn't interrupt the show. It becomes part of the show. Comments pour in praising both the content and the product. 6 months later, you're making more from sponsorships than from your day job. The hobby has become a career without you noticing the exact moment it happened. Success brings new challenges you never saw coming. Bigger fish start swimming in your pond, and they're hungry for the same opportunities you've worked months to create. Chapter 5. Celebrity Guest Strategy. The text message arrives from an unknown number at 11:22 p.m. Heard your show. Good stuff. Want to chat? You stare at the phone screen. Mo could be anyone, but your publicist contact mentioned reaching out to someone with that initial, someone whose last movie made $200 million worldwide. Your hands shake slightly as you type back. Would love to chat. When works for you? The response comes instantly. Tomorrow, 2 p.m, my assistant will send details. This is how it happens. Not through formal booking agencies or months of negotiation. Sometimes it's just a text at midnight from someone who stumbled across your show and liked what they heard. You've been chasing celebrity guests for months. Cold emails to managers, messages on social media that never get responses, applications to interview request systems that disappear into digital black holes. The problem is simple but brutal. Everyone wants the same guests. Joe Rogan gets first choice, then the other big shows. By the time opportunities reach smaller podcasters, you're fighting over scraps. But booking big names isn't about the size of your show. It's about timing, connection, and giving them something they can't get anywhere else. The call happens exactly at 2 p.m. Their voice sounds exactly like it does in movies, but more relaxed, more human. You talk for 47 minutes about everything except their latest project. The conversation flows like two old friends catching up. We should record this, they say near the end. When can you do it properly? 3 weeks later, you're sitting in a professional recording studio, the kind with soundproof walls and mixing boards that cost more than your car. They insisted on paying for studio time because your bedroom setup won't do justice to the conversation. The interview goes live on a Tuesday morning. By Tuesday afternoon, your download numbers have exploded. Not grown, exploded, like a dam breaking and water rushing through. 25,000 downloads in the first hour, 50,000 by evening. Comments flooding in from new listeners who found you through this one episode. Celebrity guests don't just bring their fans to you, they give you credibility with other potential guests. Success breeds success in the podcast world faster than anywhere else. Your inbox fills with new interview requests within days. Agents who never responded before suddenly return your calls. The conversation about booking fees, money you pay guests for their time, starts happening for the first time. But celebrity interviews come with hidden costs you never considered. The preparation is intense. You can't just wing it with someone whose time costs thousands of dollars per hour. You research their entire career, read their books, watch their movies, study their previous interviews to find angles others missed. The pressure during recording is different too. Every question matters. Every pause gets analysed later. You feel the weight of their reputation sitting across from you, trusting you to make them look good. Your second major celebrity guest teaches you about the dark side of famous interviews. They're promoting a new project, and their publicist sends a list of banned topics, personal relationships, past controversies, and anything negative about their latest work are off limits. The interview feels like walking through a minefield. Every interesting question leads to dangerous territory. The conversation stays safe and boring. When it goes live, the comments reflect the artificial feeling. This felt scripted. What happened to the real conversations? You learn to negotiate these restrictions before booking. No banned topics or no interview. Most publicists hang up on you, but the few who agree give you guests willing to have real conversations. Your third celebrity interview changes everything. They're going through a public scandal, and other shows won't book them. You take the risk and ask the questions everyone wants answered. The episode goes viral. Not just popular, viral. Clips spread across social media. News outlets quote your interview. Your download numbers hit 6 figures for the first time. But viral comes with a price. The guest's fans attack you online. Your social media fills with angry messages. Someone finds your home address and sends threatening letters. Welcome to the big leagues, where every conversation can make or break careers, including your own. The fame game has new rules at this level. Every word gets scrutinized. Every pause gets interpreted. You're not just a podcaster anymore. You're a media player with real influence and real enemies. Your biggest guest ever says something during the interview that almost ends your career, teaching you that success brings consequences you never imagined when you started with that $50 microphone. Chapter 6: Multi-Platform Domination. Your phone buzzes with a notification that makes your stomach drop. A 15-second clip from your latest interview is trending on TikTok with 2 million views. You didn't post it. Someone else cut it from your show and added dancing subtitles. The clip shows your guest revealing something personal and emotional, chopped down to the most dramatic moment. No context, no setup, just pure emotional impact designed for infinite scrolling. Comments flood the video. Most people have no idea it came from your podcast. They think it's just random TikTok content. Your hours of careful interview work reduced to viral junk food. This is the new reality. Audio only isn't enough anymore. Every platform demands different content, different strategies, different ways of thinking about the same conversations. You check your podcast downloads from yesterday. Solid numbers, but not growing like they used to. Then you check the TikTok clip again. 2.3 million views now. More people saw that 15 seconds than have ever heard your full episodes. The math is brutal but clear. You can make great podcasts and stay small, or you can feed the social media machine and explode your audience. Cross-platform. Being on multiple apps at once isn't optional anymore, it's survival. You hire a video editor who specializes in podcast clips, someone who understands how to turn audio conversations into visual content that works on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter. The process feels wrong at first. Taking deep, nuanced conversations and chopping them into bite-sized pieces for people with short attention spans, like turning books into fortune cookies. But the results are undeniable. Your first intentional TikTok clip gets 500,000 views overnight. A joke from minute 37 of episode 42, isolated and amplified. The comments are different from podcast listeners. Younger voices, different energy. They want more. YouTube requires a different approach entirely. People expect to see faces, not just hear voices. You install cameras in your recording space, learn about lighting and camera angles. Suddenly you're not just a podcast host, you're a video creator too. The technical side multiplies like rabbits reproducing. Audio editing, video editing, thumbnail design, platform-specific descriptions, posting schedules optimized for different algorithms, the systems that decide who sees your content. Each platform speaks its own language. TikTok wants quick, emotional hooks. Instagram prefers perfect visuals. YouTube rewards longer watch times. Twitter thrives on controversy and quick reactions. You become fluent in all these languages by necessity. Your analytics, numbers that show how you're doing, tell a complex story now. Podcast downloads growing steadily, TikTok followers exploding, YouTube subscribers climbing, each platform feeding the others like connected rivers flowing into the same ocean. But managing 6 different social media accounts feels like juggling flaming torches while riding a bicycle. The constant posting, responding to comments, creating platform-specific content, the creative work gets squeezed between content management tasks. You hire a social media manager, someone who understands the rhythm of each platform better than you do. They handle the daily posting while you focus on creating the core content that gets chopped and distributed everywhere. The first month with professional social media management teaches you about the multiplication effect. One good interview becomes 20 TikTok clips, 5 YouTube videos, 10 Instagram posts, and 15 Twitter threads. Your everywhere strategy, being on every platform at once, starts working like a machine. Content created once, distributed everywhere, reaching different audiences who discover you through their preferred apps. The breakthrough moment comes 6 months later. Your podcast hits 1 million downloads in a single month, but those downloads came from people who found you on TikTok, followed you to Instagram, then discovered your full-length conversations. Multi-platform isn't just about being everywhere. It's about creating a funnel that leads people from quick attention to deep engagement. But success at this level brings enemies you never saw coming. Competitors who want your guests. Platforms that change their rules overnight. and audiences who demand constant content creation at an impossible pace. The algorithm giveth, and the algorithm taketh away. You're about to learn this lesson when a single misstep threatens everything you've built. Chapter 7: Crisis Management. The phone won't stop ringing. Each ring cuts through the silence of your apartment like a knife. You let it go to voicemail again. The 7th call in 10 minutes. Your laptop screen shows a Twitter thread that's growing by the second. Hundreds of retweets, thousands of angry replies, all about something your guest said during yesterday's interview. 37 minutes into the conversation, they made a joke, a bad joke about a sensitive topic. You laughed, just a small chuckle. Before moving to the next question, that 3-second moment is now a 15-second clip, spreading across every platform. Cancel him. This is disgusting. How could you laugh at that? The comments multiply like a virus, each one sharper than the last. Your phone buzzes with a text from your biggest sponsor. We need to talk, today. This is how careers end in the modern world. Not with dramatic resignations or public scandals that build over months, with 15 seconds of audio and 24 hours of digital fury. You check your podcast downloads, they're actually up, way up. Controversy drives attention like nothing else, but the wrong kind of attention can destroy everything you've built. The sponsor call happens at 2 p.m. Their voice is cold and professional. We've decided to pause our partnership pending review of the situation. Pause means cancel. Review means never coming back. 3 more sponsors call within the hour. Same message, same corporate language that means goodbye without saying it directly. By evening, you've lost $60,000 in guaranteed revenue. Money you were counting on to pay your team, your equipment, your rent. But the worst part isn't the money. It's the silence from your industry friends, people who used to respond to your messages within minutes. Now read your texts and don't reply. You're radioactive and everyone knows it. Crisis management. Handling disasters when they explode in public becomes your crash course education. You learn terms you never wanted to know. Damage control, reputation repair, public apology strategies. The first rule of crisis communication: respond quickly, but don't rush. The internet moves at light speed, but mistakes last forever. You spend 6 hours writing a 3-paragraph statement. Every word gets analysed for multiple meanings, every sentence tested for ways it could be misunderstood or twisted. The apology goes live at 8 p.m. across all platforms. Simple, direct, no excuses, just acknowledgement and commitment to do better. Half the comments accept it, half don't. The ones who don't will never forgive you no matter what you say. The ones who do become more loyal than before. This is the strange truth about cancel culture. It creates both enemies and allies. People who stick with you through controversy become lifetime supporters. Your download numbers tell the real story over the following weeks. They dip for 2 episodes, then climb higher than before. Controversy, handled correctly, can make you stronger. But the stress changes you in ways you don't expect. You start editing interviews differently, cutting out anything that could be taken out of context. The conversations become safer, cleaner, more boring. 3 months later, you realize what you've lost: the edge that made your interviews special, the willingness to explore difficult topics, the thing that separated you from every other podcast host. You make a choice: take risks again or stay safe forever. Your next major interview tackles the most controversial topic in your industry head-on. No dancing around difficult questions, no safe middle ground. The episode goes live on a Monday. By Tuesday, you're trending again. But this time, most comments support your courage to address what everyone else avoids. Cancel culture isn't about the mistake you make. It's about how you handle the aftermath. Apologize sincerely, learn genuinely, then keep moving forward boldly. The controversy becomes your origin story, the thing that proved you could survive anything. New guests respect hosts who've been through the fire and come out stronger. But survival comes with a price. You're more careful now, more aware of every word. The paranoia creates its own problems, making you second-guess instincts that built your success. The challenge becomes learning which lessons to keep and which fears to abandon as you continue growing your operation. Chapter 8: Team Building. Your assistant quits via email at 11:47 p.m. on a Sunday. No phone call, no meeting, just a formal resignation letter that begins with "effective immediately." You stare at the screen, calculating everything that won't get done tomorrow. Interview scheduling, email responses, social media posts, technical support for 3 different platforms, all the invisible work that keeps your empire running. You've been doing this alone for too long. What started as a simple podcast now requires skills you don't have and hours you don't possess. Monday morning hits like a truck. 53 unread emails, 4 missed interview opportunities, a sponsor waiting for ad copy that should have been delivered Friday. You're drowning in success. The job posting goes live that afternoon. Podcast operations manager needed. Within hours, your inbox fills with applications. Fresh graduates with media degrees, experienced professionals making career changes, people who understand the business side of content creation. But hiring someone means trusting them with your reputation. Every email they send carries your name. Every decision they make affects your brand. The stakes feel impossibly high. The interviews happen over video calls in your home office. 20 candidates over 5 days. Each conversation reveals how much you don't know about running a real business. One candidate asks about your employee handbook. You don't have one. Another wants to know about health benefits and vacation policies. You've never thought about either. You realize something uncomfortable. You're not just a content creator anymore. You're an employer, a boss, someone responsible for other people's livelihoods. Sarah gets the job. 5 years of experience managing social media for entertainment companies. A calm voice and organized mind. She starts on a Wednesday and immediately brings order to your chaos. We need systems, she says during her first week. Ways to handle routine tasks without your constant input. She builds workflows for everything. Email templates for common responses. Content calendars that plan weeks in advance. Analytics tracking that shows what's working and what isn't. Within a month, you have 3 hours back in your day. Time to focus on creating instead of managing. The improvement feels like taking off weights you didn't realize you were carrying. But delegation, trusting others with important tasks, proves harder than expected. Sarah handles sponsor communications now, but you still review every email before it goes out. She creates social media posts, but you edit them before publishing. You hired help, then struggle to let them help. The breakthrough comes when you're sick with food poisoning for 3 days. Too weak to work, you let Sarah handle everything. The world doesn't end. Sponsors get their responses, content gets published, everything runs smoothly without your constant oversight. You return to discover something amazing. The show improved while you were gone. Sarah caught mistakes you would have missed. Her social media post performed better than yours. Distance gave her perspective you couldn't have. Success breeds expansion. You hire a video editor who understands the rhythm of conversation, an audio engineer who makes your sound quality professional, a researcher who prepares interview questions better than you ever did. Your team grows to 5 people within 6 months, each person handling tasks that used to consume your nights and weekends. You have a real company now, not just a personal project. But managing people requires skills they don't teach content creators. Your video editor misses 3 deadlines in 2 weeks. The researcher delivers questions that feel generic and boring. Sarah and the audio engineer disagree about workflow priorities. These aren't technical problems you can solve with better equipment. They're human problems that require leadership skills you're still learning. The hard conversation with your video editor happens on a Thursday. They're talented but unreliable. Great work, bad habits. You have to choose between friendship and business standards. You choose business. The conversation is awkward but necessary. They understand. 2 weeks' notice. A respectful goodbye. A replacement found within days. Leadership means making decisions that feel personal, but are really professional. Protecting the team's success even when it means difficult individual conversations. Your replacement video editor works twice as fast and communicates better. The whole team's productivity improves when one weak link gets strengthened. But managing a growing team while maintaining creative quality creates new pressures. The business side demands more attention, threatening the very creativity that built your audience. One of your employees makes a mistake that forces you to learn the hardest lesson about trust and responsibility. Chapter 9. Industry politics. The conference room smells like expensive coffee and leather chairs. 12 people in suits sit around a table that costs more than your first car. You're the only one not wearing a tie. Spotify's head of content leans forward. "We want exclusive rights to your show for 3 years. Full platform exclusivity. No other distribution." The number they slide across the table has more zeros than you've ever seen on a contract. Life-changing money. Retirement money. Money that would solve every financial worry you've ever had. But exclusive means leaving Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, every platform where your audience currently finds you, trading access for cash. "We need an answer by Friday," she says. The pressure in the room becomes thick enough to cut. This is how the big leagues work. Not through gradual negotiations or friendly discussions, through power plays and ultimatums that force immediate decisions about your future. You ask for the weekend to think. They don't look happy, but they agree. That night, you call 3 other podcasters who signed similar deals. Their experiences tell a complex story. Massive upfront payments, smaller audiences. Some thrived in the exclusive environment. Others disappeared from cultural relevance. The math isn't simple. Spotify's offer guarantees money but limits growth. Staying independent means less guaranteed income but more potential reach. Industry politics. The power games that happen behind public success stories become your crash course. Platforms compete for content, like countries compete for resources. Creators become weapons in wars between tech giants. Monday brings a different call. YouTube's podcast team wants to meet. Same pitch, different platform, exclusive video rights, bigger production budgets, their own set of golden handcuffs. Apple calls Tuesday, Amazon calls Wednesday. Every major platform suddenly wants to own your content exclusively. You've become valuable enough to fight over. But exclusivity deals come with hidden costs beyond money. Platform rules change without warning. Algorithm updates can destroy your reach overnight. Executive decisions made in boardrooms affect your audience without your input. The podcaster who signed with Amazon last year explains the reality. Great money up front. But when they changed their podcast strategy, my show became invisible overnight. No promotion, no algorithm support, just existence in a digital graveyard. Independence means uncertainty, but it also means control. You make your choice Thursday afternoon. No exclusive deals, multi-platform distribution, smaller guarantees but bigger potential. Spotify doesn't take rejection well. Their algorithm mysteriously stops recommending your episodes. Your show becomes harder to find in their search results. Punishment disguised as coincidence. But YouTube rewards your loyalty. Featured placement in their podcast section. Algorithm boosts for your video content. The platforms play favorites with creators who choose them. This is the game at the highest level. Content creation becomes corporate warfare. Every decision about distribution affects relationships with tech giants worth trillions of dollars. Your lawyer, yes, you have a lawyer now, explains the new reality. You're not just a creator anymore, you're a media company. These platforms see you as either an asset or a threat. The power dynamics shift constantly. Today's friend becomes tomorrow's competitor. Platform partnerships change based on executive decisions you'll never influence. 6 months later, your independence pays off. A new platform launches with aggressive creator incentives. Because you're not locked into exclusives, you can join immediately. First mover advantage on a platform that grows faster than anyone expected. Your audience doubles within 3 months. Revenue increases by 400%. The decision to stay independent becomes the best choice you never knew you were making. But playing these power games requires constant attention to industry politics. Who's rising, who's falling, which platforms to prioritize, which deals to avoid. You hire a business manager who understands media politics better than you do, someone who speaks corporate language fluently and can navigate relationships with platform executives. The industry becomes your chessboard, every move calculated for multiple consequences. Content creation mixed with corporate strategy in ways you never imagined when you started with a $50 microphone. The biggest threat to your empire wasn't competition, it was success itself. Growth beyond a certain point creates problems that success can't solve. starting with the question of how to build something that lasts. Chapter 10. Legacy Planning. Your accountant slides the folder across her desk. The sound of paper rustling fills the quiet office. Your net worth statement, she says. Take a look. The number at the bottom makes your hands shake slightly. 7 figures. Real wealth. More money than your parents made in their entire working lives combined. But the next page shows something that makes your stomach drop. Revenue projections for the next 5 years. The curve that's been climbing steadily starts to flatten. Then it falls. Podcast trends change fast, your accountant explains. New platforms emerge. Audiences move. What's hot today becomes forgotten tomorrow. You stare at the falling projection line. Everything you've built depends on people continuing to listen to podcasts exactly like they do now. But technology changes. Habits shift. Today's empire can become tomorrow's old news. This is the conversation successful creators avoid until it's too late. How do you build something that lasts beyond any single platform or trend? Your business manager joins the meeting remotely. Her voice comes through the conference speaker with crystal clarity. We need to talk about diversification, spreading your risk across multiple income sources. The term sounds corporate and cold, but the concept is simple survival. Don't put all your success in one basket. The next month becomes a crash course in investment strategy. Real estate that generates monthly rent, stock portfolios that grow while you sleep, business acquisitions that create value beyond your personal brand. Your first major investment is a production company, a small team that creates content for other podcasters. Your success helping others succeed. The irony feels perfect. The purchase contract signing happens in another expensive conference room. More lawyers than you've ever seen in one place. Documents that transform your podcast empire into something bigger and more permanent. But building lasting wealth requires skills they don't teach content creators. You hire a financial advisor who specializes in entertainment industry wealth, someone who's helped other creators transition from earners to owners. Your podcast is just the beginning, she explains. Think of it as marketing for everything else you'll build. The everything else starts taking shape over the following months. A book deal worth 6 figures, not because you're a great writer, but because you have an audience who trusts your voice. Your podcast becomes the platform that sells other products. Speaking engagements at corporate events. Companies pay $25,000 for you to talk about success for 40 minutes. Your story becomes a product other people buy. A consulting business helping companies understand podcast advertising. Your experience becomes expertise other people need. Each new venture uses your podcast audience as the foundation, but none depends entirely on podcasting continuing to exist in its current form. Success was destroying the very thing that made you successful in the first place. The transformation happens gradually, then suddenly. You stop being a podcaster who makes money. You become a business owner who started with a podcast. 6 months later, podcast income represents only 30% of your total revenue. Still important, but no longer the only thing keeping your lifestyle alive. The freedom this creates surprises you. You can take creative risks again without worrying about immediate financial consequences. Controversial guests, experimental formats, content that serves art instead of just commerce. Your best episodes in years come from this period. When money pressure decreases, creative pressure increases. The work gets better because it matters more than just paying bills. But the personal cost of building an empire becomes clear only after you've built it. Money solves financial problems but creates human ones you never saw coming, particularly the way success isolates you from authentic relationships. Chapter 11. The Isolation Trap. The restaurant goes quiet when you walk in. Not completely silent, but the volume drops like someone turned down a dial. Conversations pause, phones come out, camera clicks echo from multiple tables. You just wanted dinner, alone, like a normal person. The waiter recognizes you immediately. Big fan of the show, he says, louder than necessary. Half the restaurant turns to look. Your quiet evening becomes a public performance. This is what fame actually feels like. Not glamorous photo shoots or red carpet events, just trying to eat a sandwich while strangers take pictures of you chewing. You finish quickly and leave. The photos are already online before you reach your car. Spotted at Tony's Italian, looks tired. The comments analyze everything from your clothes to your facial expression. Privacy becomes a luxury you can't afford anymore. Your old friends don't call like they used to. When they do, conversations feel different. Careful, like they're talking to your public image instead of the person they knew before. The worst part isn't their distance, it's understanding why they're distant. Success changes relationships in ways nobody warns you about. You can't complain about money problems anymore. Your struggles sound like bragging to people making normal salaries. My accountant says I need to diversify my 7-figure portfolio isn't normal conversation. You can't share genuine problems either. Personal difficulties become content for gossip websites. Relationship troubles turn into clickbait headlines. Mental health struggles get analysed by strangers on social media. The isolation creeps in slowly, then hits like a weight you can't lift. Your assistant handles most human interactions now. Scheduling, email responses, even some personal relationships get managed like business deals. You realise one evening that you haven't had a real conversation. Not an interview, not a business meeting. In 3 weeks, just a genuine talk with someone who knew you before the fame. The irony is devastating. You talk to thousands of people every week through your podcast, but you're lowlier than when you started with 0 audience. Dating becomes impossible. Every potential relationship carries suspicion. Do they like you or your success? Are they genuine or performing for someone they've seen online? You hire a therapist who specializes in entertainment industry mental health, someone who understands the unique pressures of public success. Fame is a specific type of trauma, she explains during your first session. It changes how you interact with the world permanently. The therapy helps, but it's another relationship you pay for, another professional interaction instead of genuine friendship. Mental health maintenance, keeping your mind healthy under public pressure, becomes a daily practice. Meditation, exercise, limiting social media exposure, boundaries between public and private life. But the strategies that protect your mental health also increase isolation. The more walls you build around your private life, the fewer people can access the real you. The breakthrough comes unexpectedly during a chance encounter at a coffee shop. Another content creator, someone at your level of success, recognizes you. They nod, sit down without invitation. The isolation is the hardest part, isn't it? You talk for 2 hours about the weight of constant public attention, about losing old friendships and struggling to form new ones, about the strange guilt of complaining about problems that come with success. This conversation becomes a friendship, then a support group. Other creators who understand the specific challenges of public life in ways therapists and family can't. The support network doesn't solve the isolation completely, but it makes it manageable. Shared understanding creates bonds that fame can't destroy. Connection becomes the most valuable resource in your new world. But even as you learn to manage the personal costs of success, you realize the industry itself is changing around you. A new generation of creators is rising with different rules and different advantages. Chapter 12. The Next Generation. The email arrives from a 19-year-old who's never owned a microphone. Subject line, "How I got 2 million podcast downloads with my phone." You read it twice, 3 times. The numbers don't make sense. 2 million downloads in 6 months. Using voice memos recorded in their college dorm room, uploaded directly to platforms without any professional editing. Everything you learned about audio quality and professional equipment suddenly feels ancient. You click through to their show. The audio has background noise, traffic sounds, roommates talking in the distance. By every technical standard you know, it should fail completely. But the content is electric. Raw honesty about mental health, relationships, and college life. No polished presentation. Just pure authenticity delivered with generation-defining clarity. Their audience loves the imperfection. Comments praise the real feeling. Professional production would actually make it worse. This is how industries evolve. What revolutionary technology enabled yesterday becomes standard practice today. What feels cutting edge now becomes outdated tomorrow. Your expensive studio setup suddenly looks like a museum exhibit. All that equipment, those acoustic treatments, the professional microphones, tools for solving problems, this new generation never had. The meeting happens at a trendy coffee shop downtown. They look exactly like their social media photos, confident, energetic, unimpressed by your industry credentials. The barriers you fought to overcome don't exist for us, they explain. Platforms want new voices now. The algorithm rewards fresh perspectives. They're right. The same systems that took you years to understand and navigate have been simplified for new creators. What felt impossible when you started is now standard accessibility. But they face different challenges. Market saturation, shorter attention spans, platform changes that happen faster than ever, success requirements that shift monthly instead of yearly. The conversation reveals something uncomfortable. Your hard-won expertise applies to an industry that's already changing into something new. But instead of competing with them, you make a different choice. Want to collaborate, you ask. Their eyes light up, not because they need your audience. They're building their own just fine, but because they recognize valuable experience when they see it. The collaboration episode launches 3 weeks later. Your production expertise combined with their fresh perspective, traditional interview techniques mixed with their generation's communication style. The result works for both audiences. Your listeners discover a brilliant young voice. Their listeners hear what professional-level conversation sounds like. Both shows grow from the partnership. This becomes your new strategy, mentorship instead of competition, building bridges between podcast generations instead of defending territory. You launch a program connecting experienced creators with emerging ones, not formal education, practical collaboration, real projects that benefit everyone involved. The applications overwhelm your capacity within days. Hundreds of new creators seeking guidance, dozens of established hosts offering support. What starts as a simple mentorship program becomes something larger, an ecosystem where different generations of creators support each other's growth. Your role evolves again, not just a successful podcaster, but someone who helps shape the industry's future. The measurement changes too. Success isn't just your download numbers or revenue anymore, it's the combined success of everyone you've helped along the way. True empire building isn't about creating something that lasts forever. It's about creating something that helps others build their own lasting success. Your podcast becomes the bridge between where the industry was and where it's going, not the destination, but the path that connects different eras of creative possibility. From a $50 microphone in a bedroom to an industry-shaping empire, the journey teaches that true success isn't measured in downloads, dollars, or fame, but in the opportunities you create for others to build their own success. The podcast was never the destination. It was the vehicle that carried you to something greater, the ability to lift others as you climbed.